Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So you guys all know that we're right in the middle of banlist speculation season. I honestly don't even think I have to remind you guys of such. And because of that, I'm pretty much going to be just talking about ban list, restriction list stuff all week until the ban list is ultimately leaked, because I think that that's pretty much the most entertaining thing going on in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Now, I went over to Ultra Reality Games' website. I checked out the article by Patricks Hoban. It's kind of his wish list for the ban and restriction list, and some of the stuff on here makes sense, and then some of the other stuff just left me completely dumbfounded, and I'm just like, what? I don't understand that reasoning behind, you know what I mean? And these are some of the best players in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Who write for ARG. You know, Patricks Hoban is currently our Nationals champion. I mean, this is a guy who could potentially win Worlds and Nationals in the same exact year. So, you know, some of these things are just like, I'm like, what is he talking about? He actually starts his ban list off on a high note. His 3 ban cards he has on here are Card Destruction, Super Rejuvenation, and Spellbook of Judgment. I'm actually good with all 3 of these cards. Card Destruction is an auto win card, much like Gateway of the Sixes and Samurai, or Future Fusion was, and Chaos Dragons. I mean, it's a card where if Dark World activated, they're going to win the duel 99 times out of 100, and I don't really think that cards like that should exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! It also spills over into FTK and other OP decks. You know, Dragon Rulers kind of messed around with Card Destruction in this format because it combos with Super Rejuve and, you know, like deck out. They also can run Card Destruction, chain it with like, or combine it with like Serial Spell and make you discard and draw like 20 cards, and that's just that lame shit. Let's see, Spellbook of Judgment should have never been created. It lets you go potentially +9. I think Asian Eyes White Dragon went one time. I'm just not a fan of any card letting you go plus that much, so this is just, let's just chalk that up to should not have ever been created. And Super Rejuvenation. Alright, so you know how the MLB has the best interest of baseball rule? I think that that kind of applies here. It's just in the best interest of Yu-Gi-Oh! That this card pretty much go away, or at least to 1 at a minimum. I mean, it's kind of like Spellbook of Judgment as far as just the amount of pluses goes. You know, it doesn't do the extreme level of letting you special summon monsters and all this other crazy shit, but I think Super Rejuvenation needs to at least go to 1. I completely on board if they want to go ahead and ban it. So his ban list is starting out pretty good. Let's see if it continues this way. Limited. They restricted the 1 cards he wants, and this is where this list kind of like takes a turn for the worse and shit starts going downhill, and I'm just like, what is he doing? Anyways, let's get into it. Atlantean Dragoons, Call the Haunted, Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos, Gold Sarcophagus, Giergia Armor, Gozen Match, Lavalval Chain, Mecha Phantom Beast, Draccosack, Rekindling, Rescue Rabbit, Rivalary of Warlords, the Sacred 7-Star Sword, Spellbook of Fate, and Vanities Emptiness. Alright, so let's start with Giergia Armor. Yo, shoutouts to killing decks that haven't been good in like a fucking year. I mean, even when like Giergia or Giergia Karakuri was like really good, like I could see this card maybe going to 2, but I say it once and I'll say it again and I'll keep saying it until people get sick of me saying this shit. The flip summon or the flip mechanic is just slowly dying. It's too slow for the game. I don't understand why we would ever need to hit a card like this. I mean, does it potentially let you go plus every turn? Yeah, but that also is dependent on it fucking sitting there and actually living. Like, we have way too many cards that can kill face down monsters, you know, let alone if we already know what the hell that monster is and how you're going to try and use it. Call of the Haunted. Like, what is this? Like, I don't even fucking know what to say about this one. Like, this is so random. I mean, I know maybe there's a joke there somewhere, but I'm just going to move on to the next one. I don't fucking understand that one. Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos. What? Like, who's running ARG? Like, who's running this site? You actually paid this dude to write this shit? Like, really? You know, some of these cards I think are just knee-jerk reactions, like Draccosack. Draccosack is really not that big of a problem. You know what I mean? The same thing with the 7-star draw card. It seems to me like he did everything he could to not actually limit the dragons themselves or to semi-limit them. So he like indirectly hit everything else in the deck, which seems a little silly to me. Like, he hit Super Rejuve, Gold Sarcophagus, he hit the 7-star draw card, Draccosack, like everything in the deck except the actual dragons, who pretty much let themselves go plus on their own. I really don't get it. Vanities Emptiness is just... Stop it, Patrick. just stop. This is not royal oppression, bro. Like, I know the idea is like, oh my goodness, it locks players down. Like, well, you do realize that if you have Vanities, Emptiness, and like a face down Mirror Force or something, and I MST that Mirror Force, you lose your Vanities, Emptiness at the same time. Like, this card is not even in the realm that royal oppression is in. I mean, let's see. I'm actually okay with Atlantean Dragoons. You know, I'm okay with Spellbook of Fate or Blue Boy. I mean, either one of those. Rekindling is a card that I said that, you know, it would pretty much get an honorable mention on my list. Rescue Rabbit, I feel like it's at peace. I mean, like at 2, I feel like it's good enough to support the decks that, you know, run normal monsters. At 1, I just feel like it's like, what's the point, you know? And so many decks use this card. I kind of feel like the livelihood of a lot of decks is kind of directly tied to Rescue Rabbit, so I don't really think that it needs to be at limited. I think at 2 is like the perfect number. You know, half of his limits are good. You know, Lavalval Chain, I actually like that one. The other half of this shit doesn't make sense. Fissure, Called the Haunted, like what the fuck is that? His semi-limits are pretty decent in my opinion. I think that they're all pretty safe picks. He has Blackwing, Gale, Fire Formation, Tenki, Reckless Greed, and TG Striker. I still have yet to hear any legitimate argument as to why TG Striker can't go to 3, so we'll just pretend he meant to unlimit that. Reckless Greed, that is just, wow, that is random. He says he thinks that there's too much luck involved with the card, and he feels like it rewards you if you draw multiples of it, but it punishes you when you're not lucky enough to do so. Okay, so isn't that like an inherent balancer built right into the card design? Because I'm pretty sure it is. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the definition of inherent balance. So we're just going to go ahead and ignore that one. Gale, I'm actually fine with. And Tenki. I feel like Tenki at 2, it doesn't change the way that Fire Fist operates one bit. I mean, I just feel like the deck is still going to do exactly what it did before. You know, it's just when you go to launch your second Tenki, you might have to think just a little bit more, but I really don't think that that changes how the deck operates. And then for unrestricted, he has Transmigration Prophecy and Tsukyomi. I'm pretty sure I put Transmigration Prophecy in my top 5 cards that shouldn't be restricted to 1 anymore, because it's like, what the hell does this card do? It's like a slow DD Crow that I guess can put your cards back in your deck if you want to like reuse your Tengu or something like that, or I don't know. I just don't understand why anybody would run multiples of this card, especially if you have to set it. And Tsukyomi could easily go to 3. I don't know why the card isn't at 3 now. You know, who's going to run more than 1 Tsukyomi? Like, who'd ever run 3 Tsukyomi? Like, maybe 2 to, like, deal with Ophion or something like that. But, I mean, really? 3 Tsukyomi? Could you imagine if you opened up with 2? That would be awful. Now, as far as what deck I would play under this list, I mean, easy. Dark World, son. Like, if you think that Dark World need card destruction to win, then you'd be very wrong indeed. I mean, under this list, where I still have 2 Reckless Greeds, I can run 3 Upstarts, and I still get all my Graphas. Oh, by the way, you only have 1 copy of Macro and Fissure to counter me with, but I still get 3 Eradicators? Like, son, I'm going to take your fucking lunch. And Dragon Rulers got crippled. You know, Prophecy was already a match that we auto-win. I mean, when I look at this format, you know, Atlantean Mermaid, pretty much a deck that is going downhill. Dark World is what I'd be playing all day. So let me know what you guys think of this list. Thank you for watching as always, and take care. Subscribing makes life happy.